We're headed to one of the classic circuits in world motor racing. We're going to Belgium for round 14. It's time for Spa. The Belgian Grand Prix is one of the longest circuits on the calendar, so there are only 44 laps of the very lengthy 7.004 kilometre circuit. It's high speed but also extremely demanding on the tyres due to the exceptionally fast corners. The driver with the most wins around Spa is Michael Schumacher with 6, but Ferrari have the most constructors' wins around the circuit with a whopping 18. There are 19 official corners and 2 DRS zones. The first DRS zone is down the short pit straight, but the second is down the long Kemmel straight after Eau Rouge and Raidillon. If a driver has the speed and is within DRS, it's incredibly hard to defend down into turn 5. Unsurprisingly, Max Verstappen is the last winner of the Belgian Grand Prix, no shocks there. This weekend, the Pirelli tyre offerings are the C2, C3 and C4 tyres. This is a nice middle ground of the available compounds, not the softest nor the hardest. Before we get into the upcoming weekend, take a look at this alternate angle from the Hamilton and Verstappen incident from Hungary. This is from the perspective of Alex Albon, who was letting the leaders through at the time.
Do you know what I might do is I might smash into somebody just to make me feel better.
All right, it's a joke. It's a joke. I know both sides of the fandom have their own opinions on the incident. I've certainly seen that from social media over the past few days with people bringing all sorts of old races, old incidents. It's honestly pretty pathetic. We need to just move on from this incident. I will say a few things though. According to the telemetry, Lewis turned into the corner at a similar position he had been doing. You might notice he takes quite a tight line into turn 1. And that's according to the stewards and their data that they received. Max, well, I don't think he was making the corner. He definitely looked like he locked up significantly and was carrying too much speed. He claims that lockup is because Lewis was turning, but let's be honest. And we can see this from video. He was already locking up before Lewis turned. The point is, he was getting frustrated behind Hamilton. I get it. Ultimately, it's a racing incident and we move on. We want to see hard racing, but it was very fortunate that neither car was seriously damaged. That could have gone really badly. It could have been worse, but it wasn't. So, moving on to Spa and engine penalties. We knew from earlier in the season there was a very good chance, well, we knew it was guaranteed at one point that Red Bull were going to have to take an engine penalty with Max. Christian Horner did speak about it. It seems as though the suggestions and the rumblings are that it will be this weekend. I wasn't so sure if they'd want it to be this weekend because they've had a few, I'm not going to say bad races, but to their standards, bad races. And so I wondered whether they wanted to end this part of the season before the summer break on a high. But if they do take this engine penalty at Spa, which it is supposed to be, that is what's supposed to be happening, that's going to be a 10-place grid penalty for Max because he's going to take a new ICE. They have to do it at some point in the season, and Spa, they did it in 2022 with an engine penalty, then they did it last year with a gearbox penalty. He's really quick around Spa. The problem is, this car isn't as quick as it was last year comparatively to, you know, the cars around it. McLaren are quick, Ferrari aren't slow, Mercedes are pretty quick. So if he does start 10th or 11th, or even if he doesn't qualify pole further back, it is going to be a tricky weekend. So we'll see how that transpires. Also, there's been a lot of talk of Max Verstappen and sim racing. And apparently, according to Helmut Marko, they have reached an agreement with Max that he will no longer be doing sim racing into the early hours of the morning. Apparently, as was spoken about by Crofty numerous times on the broadcast to people's anger, Max was doing a sim race. One of his drivers from Redline dropped out, so he took over a stint very early in the morning before the Hungarian Grand Prix. Now, I don't believe this caused Max any issues. As Helmut Marko said, Max was up until 3 a.m. at Imola sim racing, and he still won the race. So I don't think this is causing him a problem, but he has agreed supposedly not to do any more sim racing into the early hours on race weekends. I also expect Red Bull to be using the Canon engine cover that they were using for the beginning part of this season. You know at Hungary that Max had an upgraded car, had a different engine cover. Supposedly that's only going to be for the high downforce tracks. And when you go to the lower downforce tracks for higher speed, they're going to revert to the old spec. the same spec that Checo was running at Hungary, because Checo is yet to try the new version because there was only one version. So it looks like they're going to go back to that cannon cover, and they're going to use the interchangeable ones depending on the tracks going forward. Take a look at this. This is the Alpine livery for the Belgian Grand Prix. It's a complete change of colours, red with a hint of yellow to promote the new Deadpool and Wolverine film. Now, you might think, well, this is a weird crossover. Well, actually it isn't. Ryan Reynolds is one of the co-owners of the Alpine team. He invested in them a couple of years ago, and to be honest, film sponsorships on cars are pretty common. What do you think of the livery? It's pretty much the same design, just with a change of colours, with some more scratch marks dotting around, and it looks like the paint's ripping off more. I mean, look, I don't hate it. We'll see what it looks like out on track. I certainly prefer the colour scheme rather than the pink and blue. Both Mercedes and McLaren are quick. They're very, very quick, and they were quick at Silverstone, which was also a very high-speed track. Not quite the same as Spa, but it has similar characteristics. Low temperatures helped Mercedes, I think, on that weekend. And, well, the weather is in for Spa. So Spa is known for its mixed conditions. It can rain, it can be sunny, and that's just within a 10-minute period. According to my forecast, the temperatures are going to be no more than about 20 degrees, and rain is expected for Friday and Saturday, but not for Sunday. So it looks like it could be another mixed weekend with potentially some surprises and maybe not a lot of dry running on the Friday and Saturday, depending on how heavy the rain is. So a lot going on at Spa, and it's the last race before the summer break. After Spa, it's a 4-week break, and the next race isn't until the end of August. There's a lot going on. I'm looking forward to the fireworks. I always like seeing the cars going around Spa, so I'm hopeful for a good weekend. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe if you did. I'll see you next time.